You want to learn how many calories you should be having. You've came to the right place. I used to drop my calories far too low, and depending on how my motivation was really dependent on how long I could actually stick to the diet for. And the issue with that is everyone, including myself, they want results fast. So the logical step is literally just to drop them super, super low and see how long you can last for. And then you get the other camp that talks about how to balance things into your life and that it should be slow and steady. But I know you probably don't want to hear that. So I'm not going to tell you that. Because for years I done low carb, juice, smoothie diets, replaced my meals with protein shakes. The worst one was probably the fish and broccoli one that I done 2 weeks before a holiday. And the issue with this is even though that the calories put me into a calorie deficit because it was so restrictive, I always ended up back to square one, if not probably worse. If any of those points resonated with you, I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do to calculate your calories in a really simple way. And how we're going to do that is we're going to follow 4 simple things. The first one we're going to cover is a thrown around term which no one really understands, and it's metabolism. The second one is probably what you clicked on this video for, let's be honest, and that's how to calculate your calories. So I'm not going to leave you right to the end to watch that. The third one is actually extremely important, and that's how to calculate your protein and how much you should be having. Your weekend calories, and should every day remain the same? Like, can you have a cheat day basically? And then a wee bonus tip at the end, how fast actually might be better than slow if you do it right. So before we get into it, I do not sponsor this video by anyone other than myself, and I'm not even going to sell you anything. There's a free 14-day starter pack where you get a recipe book, shopping list guide, a calorie calculator, and a whole load more. Go ahead after you watch this video and key your email address in and you'll get 14 emails over 14 days. Don't say I wasn't good to you. Oh, and I always forget this and leave it to the end. If you enjoy the content, consider subscribing and comment below if you've got any questions. Let's go. For such a simple thing, tracking or calculating your calories, it seems to be way too overcomplicated. First off is your metabolism. This is a word that's kind of thrown around and people talk about having a slow metabolism or a fast metabolism. But metabolism or total daily energy expenditure is just really how many calories you burn in any given day. So then how many calories you would need to eat to either stay at maintenance, go above that and gain weight, or go below that and lose weight. So the simple way of looking at this is, luckily for us, is 70% of the calories that we burn on a daily basis are literally just to stay alive. So if you were to lie in bed, watch Netflix all day, you would burn 70% of your overall calories just living. So don't think you need to always burn your calories off. I used to do that when I was a lot younger, maybe about 15 years ago. I used to think that I had to burn off the calories that I ate. But our body takes up a lot of the damage. I'm going to explain the next part. So that's your BMR or Netflix is your first part, and the second part is the stuff that you can control. And the part that I would really advise everyone to start with is non-exercise activity, right? So this is anything that you do on a daily basis, me standing up versus sitting down, me moving my hands around, all this sort of kind of micro movements burns calories. But the easiest way to really track this is, although it's planned movement, is steps. So if you're tracking your steps, you get an Apple Watch, a Fitbit, something like that, you can allow yourself to start tracking that, because that takes up a whole chunk, probably the biggest chunk of your overall energy expenditure for the day. So if you're lying on the couch or you're sitting at an office all day, then first step I would say to speed up your metabolism or the amount of calories that you burn is going to be to get out a walk, to go and do some steps, because at the end of the day that's the lowest hanging fruit, or the path of least resistance, versus a big huge workout that's actually, you'll see in a second, isn't hugely effective for burning a certain amount of calories. The next part is literally just digesting the food that you eat. So when you talk about digesting the food that you eat, people think, how can I burn calories just by eating? It's never going to equate to the amount of calories that you eat of how much you burn, but our body does use energy, use calories to even just digest and process the food that we eat. So one thing just to realise is the fact that if you want to maximise this, then if you were to have a higher fibre, higher protein diet, it takes more energy to process both of those things within your body to actually allow you to kind of have a higher metabolism at rest and let your kind of body do the work for you. It's not going to be monumental, but it definitely will help. It also helps with satiety. So you've got NEAT, TEF, which is thermic effect of food, or just digesting the food that you eat. And then the last part is EAT. And that's not the calories that you consume, or that's not the food that you eat. That is exercise activity. Last word's thermogenesis, but I hate saying it because it overcomplicates it. It's literally just planned
planned exercise that is with a bit of intensity, so your workouts in essence, right? Believe it or not, because there's such a small proponent of what you do on a daily basis, it comes from the amount of calories that you burn through your 1 hour, 45-minute session, whatever it is. People tend to way overestimate the amount that actually burns, and then they leave all the other stuff, right? So it's definitely not very effective to focus your first, whenever you start a diet or a fitness regime, to focus all your energy just on the workouts. The workouts should be enjoyable, they should be progressive, and ultimately, as a byproduct of that, they will burn calories. But you shouldn't just choose a workout because it burns a wee bit more calories than another one. It needs to be enjoyable, because that will burn the most calories over a long period of time, because you'll actually stick to it. So that's metabolism out the way. And just for easy context, so that you fully understand this, is the fact that if that's your metabolism, let's say for easy numbers, it was 2,000 calories. If your metabolism was at 2,000 calories to maintain your weight, if you eat 1,900, you'll lose weight, 1,800, so on and so forth. The lower down you go within that zone, the harder it's going to be to stick to, because you'll get hungrier. So we need to try and figure out that zone. So we're going to come to now calculating your calories. And before I go any further, there's a few different ways to do this, but I do have a 14-day course where you get a free recipe book with all my favourite recipes. You'll get access to a calorie calculator. At the moment, I'm allowing people in the community group as well as part of this. You'll even get a shopping list guide as well, and that's obviously something that should be your first point of call. What food are you buying? So how do you calculate your calories? So there's a million different calculators online, but once you figure out those calories through a calorie calculator, just remember that's only giving you a ballpark of calories. So whatever your maintenance is, if you're under that, you will lose weight. It's going to be the speed that allows you to lose weight. And people always kind of poo-poo on you saying that you're losing weight fast. It's not actually a bad thing to lose weight fast, as long as it's done in phases, because realistically people want to lose weight and feel better quicker, not slower. And we have to try and find this balance between enjoyment, consistency, and adherence for a decent period of time. And you can't really do that necessarily, or a lot of people can't do that with really slow progress. So that's just definitely something to think about. And if you don't even want to use a calorie calculator, or you want literally just to know from this video, a really easy way to do it is start to look at your goal body weight. If you think of your adult life, say you've gained a decent amount of weight over the course of the last 10 years, so you're 30 years old. If you think back to that time, roughly what weight were you? What weight would you be at a healthier body weight in your eyes? Not necessarily your goal body weight right now, because it might be ages away from where you think. So take that goal body weight in pounds and times it by 12. That will give you a very similar ballpark to what my calorie calculator will give you. It might be something slightly different, but again, remember, this is all to do with a ballpark of calories, because this is all just going to be about the speed. And also, any questions you've got, try to be pretty active in my YouTube, because I've really just started posting again, and I will be active in the comments. So comment below if you've got any questions around this, and I'll be happy to help. So next up is protein. So I mentioned obviously protein can help with the overall calories that you burn through just digesting your food, but also protein is one of the most filling macronutrients. So it's going to be very hard to overeat protein. So when it comes to staying in a deficit, protein is your friend. But there is a certain amount of protein that is going to be kind of optimal for most people to try and hit. And again, going back to this goal body weight, let's say you're 200 pounds and your goal body weight's 150, or your goal body weight's 180 or whatever, you're trying to roughly have 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of goal body weight. And that's a good ballpark, because that'll align with your calories, whereas a lot of people will struggle to get in protein, but that's probably because they're putting their calories way too low, and they would have to just be eating chicken breasts all day if they actually wanted to hit the protein target. And the last part is kind of in two parts. Please do not overlook this, because I do have a separate video on weekends, balancing events and being able to bank calories and stuff, because I wanted this to be a shorter video. If it's out yet, I will link it below. If not, you can get it through the 14-day sequence. But what a lot of people don't realise is they calculate their calories, they'll eat a certain amount of calories during the week. Let's say the classic is 1,200, and then they overshoot their calories way too much at the weekend, and then they have a cheat day, and that just brings them up to around maintenance calories, and it's very, very easily done. So I think it's important to realise that your calories are a weekly goal, not just a daily goal. So I try and get people, if they are wanting a bit of more flexibility at the weekend, to have a flexi day. So if you've worked out your daily calories, times that by 7, take away whatever it is that you want for a takeaway, meal out, a few drinks at the weekend, whatever you think is reasonable and not over the top. Take that off the overall number and then divide the number that you got there by the remaining 6 days. And that'll give you your overall calories for the week in kind of 2 parts. Because not all days are created equal. And lastly, are you actually accurately tracking your calories? Are you giving it long enough? Because you might not see it straight away in the mirror. You might not necessarily feel it straight away. So as much as this is a video about tracking your calories and getting started with this and being able to hit a certain protein target, there is a bunch of different elements that are going to go into this, and that's why I'm kind of trying to segregate the series, if you like, of the foundations so it doesn't become overwhelming. If you found this helpful, if you got any questions, consider subscribing, go through my 14-day course. It's completely free, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.